Okay, you're live.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June meeting of the Annapolis Environmental Commission. I'm Kathy Welker, chair of the AEC this year. Like to do a quick roll call. So let's just go around the horn. If you can all just jump in and introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Bill O'Leary, Ward 2.
Alicia Roberson, Ward 7.
Marianne Marbury, 1.
Jeremy Hansen, Ward 5.
Okay, and I should say I am in Ward 5 also. Okay. So we need to approve the May minutes. Those were sent out to you all in a couple of different emails. Didn't get any corrections back. Anybody have any corrections before we move ahead to approve those? Nope. Okay.
Motion
Got a
to
motion. Is that a motion, Alicia? Thank you.
Yes, motion to move or approve May minutes.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Dylan, I'm looking at the version of the agenda that I sent out. Was the one that was publicly available? Did you make any changes? Because I know that we had hoped to have a transportation discussion tonight, but that did not unfortunately work out. So we don't have that we're not gonna talk about it tonight, but I wasn't sure if that was removed from the public agenda or not. Dylan?
Sorry, no change. Did you want me to upload a new one?
I don't know what the usual procedure is. So.
I can just upload a new one just because it reflects what was actually discussed.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to skip over that. This meeting may end up being a little shorter, but I anticipate that we'll spend a little bit more time on some of the other items than we had initially intended to. So the next item on the agenda, Bill, at the last meeting, you mentioned there was some planning going on for a new state court building on Rao Boulevard. And we had discussed potentially writing a letter or finding contacts, having them come to a meeting. And I wanted to check in and see if you had had a chance to follow up on any of that.
Yeah, so I work for the state, and I know some folks over in DGS who handle all of the real estate for state government. And I did have one of them reach back out to me, but not with anything concrete. So I'm still trying to hunt them down and see if I can find out more information.
Okay. And since it's summertime, I'm thinking maybe we can bring this back up again in September.
Sounds good.
See if you learned any more. Okay. So I wanted to turn it over to Dylan for a city open space discussion. So just a little background on that one. A couple meetings ago, maybe it was the last month, I'm not sure, Jackie had mentioned there's a lot on West Street that, she thought maybe the AEC might want to look into and see, its status and if it's for sale, and possibly see if it, we'd like to make a recommendation to the city council to make it like a public park, right? To purchase it and make it a public park. And so, but then we had another discussion where I think the status of that lot had changed, and I think Dylan and Jackie, you guys were going to check on that. But then the idea came up to kind of look at the city overall and see if the AEC would be interested in taking on a project to sort of identify, lots that are not built upon, take a look at them, see if, maybe we think they have potential to add to open space, preserved open space in the city, maybe as small parks. And so Dylan had shown us a map, a GIS map that is available. And I think you were going to share your screen and bring that up and talk to us a little bit about open space and then in the city. And then we can have a discussion among us if that's something that the AEC would like to pursue a little bit more. Thanks, Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely. To explain what's seen on the map, basically, through our GIS resources, and this is just a flat PDF, so I can't investigate or look into it too much. I'm trying to pull up GIS right now. But basically, I took the total city land and overlaid two main important things. The first thing being the impervious surface in Annapolis. And then I also overlaid land the city already owns, much of which is already open space. And basically deleted that from the Annapolis land polygon, or what we call kind of like the big shape, that looks like Annapolis, right? And then what's remaining is pretty much all just open space. And so I sorted each polygon, by its size. It's giving me some slowness here. And the darker it is, the larger the polygon is. And then I also overlaid what the Department of Planning and Zoning had created for their comprehensive plan. You'll see that here, areas for potential easements. And so what's basically highlighted in black will show you what they identified are potential areas for easements. These are typically areas that they see as beneficial as either a corridor for walking or a corridor for habitat, and are typically key properties that serve some sort of ecological value that would provide an amenity to different communities. And that's why you see that it's pretty spaced out. I don't think many of these are currently or being made an easement. Some of these, though, are in the process of being made an easement or may have already been. This area over here, you can see my cursor, is actually believed to be an easement already. But for the most part, these are proposed areas. And if I can pull up GIS, it might take me a little bit. I can give you a more in-depth view. But this is kind of a good top, I guess, very wide view of the city, where the biggest green spaces are, and, where preservation is already being considered. It might inspire the commission to, consider either key cultural locations or, work with the Department of Planning and Zoning to provide, advisory or outreach efforts to their acquisition of these easements, whatever you want to do. But this is essentially the state of potential preservation of green space in the city.
There's something that you can share with us so we can look at it closer later.
Oh yeah, definitely. Most certainly can. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I was muted and I was talking away. Dylan, do you know, does this overlap with anything that like the Conservancy Board is doing? Because I know they have a project to like identify easements currently. Are you familiar with their
Yeah,
work?
actually, it's definitely a zone for them as well. So they are starting to look at potential easements. They're kind of in the beginning of that discussion. And what I'm showing you here is more or less what I would give them. It's just a good place to start. Again, considering what DBZ is already looking at, and looking at the actual physical assets of what's available in the city. So they've talked about a few areas, big properties kind of along the water. I know there's been some discussion near Weems Creek up here, but those discussions are in their very early stages. And of course, you could collaborate between the Conservation Board, or you can choose your own parcels or properties or what have you that you think are worth preserving.
Linda, I see you joined us. Hello. And Linda, you're with Ward 5, correct?
Hi there. Yes, Ward 5.
Okay, thank you. Thoughts?
Jeremy has his hand
Jeremy
up.
has his hand up.
Oh, Jeremy, sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. Couple questions, I guess, and I can't like point at what I'm curious about, but the upper left hand side, that like straight black portion, is that like West Street, or what are we looking at?
Yeah, it's definitely not the most high def map ever. It is West Street. Actually, no, it's not. That is just north of West Street. That is part of what would be the west-east corridor. I believe that was at Poplar Avenue.
Okay, that was my guess. So I'm curious then, and then there's the other straight portion, which I think is the other end of that. Is everything in between already in easement, or what's? I'm
That's
just
my
trying to-
understanding. Yes.
Okay, good. And then what is now at the bottom of the screen, there's the big chunks of blue and the large potential easement areas. I think I'm not sure where the lines of like the Providence Point development are compared to like where these polygons are displaying. But these are at least adjacent, or do they overlap with the Providence Point property? Or what will be?
I'm blanking as to exactly where Providence Point development is.
Crystal Spring.
Yeah.
So that's at Forest and Spa.
Yeah, so it's right off to the left of where there's the blank space, because that's county property. And it's those big chunks.
Can you see my mouse?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying this county school here to the left?
Yep. So I'm just looking at those ones to the left. And yeah, you probably don't know the answer, but I'm just curious, like, I'm pretty sure part of that development is they're putting a bunch of stuff in easement, so I'm just not sure where their parcel boundaries and or overlap with what's already on the map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know the answer. I could definitely check on that. I actually might be able to just use the state's Merlin map to find those parcel boundaries, but I wouldn't be able to answer that right now. My GIS does not seem to want to cooperate with my laptop right now.
Yeah, no worries. You're running Zoom. Probably wouldn't work too
well. Do you want me to provide a second map showing the parcel boundaries of that development with the potential easement map that I have here?
Yeah, maybe that's just like a particular area to focus on, just because it's such a standout, like large, that whole shading of blue and the large black polygons just really jumps out, and
Yeah.
clearly that would be a high priority, I would think,
Mm.
within city land as far as future protections.
Got it.
And then that would give us a sense of like how much of that area or the adjacent area is already slated for upcoming easement.
Yeah. Can do. Yeah, did anyone else have any areas that they were looking at? Again, this is kind of just an early exercise to help the commission possibly brainstorm areas that they think would be worth conserving.
Thoughts?
And you said did you take out the land that city already owns from
That's
this
correct.
exercise? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is all privately owned or
There's
potentially public.
There's also some state and county property. I decided not to remove that just because, their goals might be different from ours. Typically, they're not. But we can't necessarily have strong influence as to how they're developing their land.
Yeah,
Great
now I see what you're talking
example
about.
would be, yeah, like this is the courthouse over here, and this is the small little property. Not small. This is the portion of the property that Bill was talking about that may be developed, likely will be developed for the new Supreme Court building. So yeah, it's still there.
Dylan, I was curious about on Admiral Drive, the former WNAV property.
Sure, let me pull up there. Yeah, so I think that'll be this.
Yeah, it's already categorized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, these are just pieces of property that comprehensive planning team thinks would be valuable as easements. I'm not sure how many of these have had close discussions with the owners of these properties, and how far along any of these acquisitions are. But yeah, that definitely would be a great area. But I'm not sure how feasible that specific property is.
Well, I think this is helpful, at least to give us like a good starting point.
Yeah, and I can maybe see about it would maybe crash your computers, but I can provide a higher quality map. This was originally there was transparency to the colors, so you can actually see,
Mhm.
actually there. I don't really know why that didn't come through, so I can try to fix that. I wish I could provide a web layer. I can maybe see if GIS would let me post one. But that'll just be a lot easier for you to interact with. I typically don't like flat maps, but at least something you can do.
Does anyone recommend like next steps for this? Do we want to reach out to the Conservancy Board or look into it more on our own?
I mean, I think definitely reaching out to the Conservancy Board to see, what they're doing and what resources they might have, if we want to move forward with this and potentially collaborate with them. But I would also like to hear like what people think that some next steps might be.
Yeah, because I can see how this can apply to our priorities, especially if we're looking to expand the tree canopy. park system could be, whatever we suggest could be, just a reforestation project or something.
I also do have a layer that is pretty accurate. I was pretty impressed. That shows pretty much like every tree. So it aggregates like the total tree canopy over the city. And that might also be useful just looking at, like where the most dense canopy areas are. Could help, weight out your evaluations.
Yeah, that if you could provide a form of that as well, I think that'd be helpful.
Mhm.
And going back to our priority about giving some focus to underserved communities. So I don't know if there are, if there are spaces in communities where some dedicated open space or trees or whatever would help, especially if there's like a lack of trees, especially thinking of this heat, right? How much those help.
Yeah.
Or for recreation.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good point. There's a couple things I could do there. Regarding heat, like I can maybe also overlay the greatest areas, like the largest polygons of impervious surface, like over here on West. This is like West Street, what I call like a more modern section of West Street. I could maybe also go by census tracts and, basically group the impervious surface, so organize them or color code them based on the amount of impervious surface. And then regarding, environmental justice, I can identify, there's that EJ screen. I can import those polygons. And I can also do like a radius of green space. So it can show like how accessible green space is to those specific areas.
That would be great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Marianne or Linda, does any particular area kind of pop out to you? I know you're pretty tight with the Annapolis Trees community. Save the trees.
Yeah, so actually, I think Save Our Trees, right? Our focus has really been on the conservative because so many of them have been compromised by invasives. So it's really been on kind of the existing parcels as parcels. But this is the first time I'm looking at this. I'm interested in looking at it and seeing and if there are, any candidates that might fit it as Save Trees.
Sorry, you got a little cut out there at the end.
I said I'm interested. This is the first time I've looked at this map. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes.
But definitely interested in looking at it. I think Save Our Trees would be interested in looking at it to see if there's any candidates for the work that we do, both for new trees, so compromised areas.
Cool. Yeah, I think getting some input from you all would be helpful as well.
Yep. Happy for asking.
And so when we get down to commission vacancies, I'm going to be turning the floor over to Marianne for a few minutes to speak also. But just, maybe this could be an excellent project to collaborate on going forward. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts? Our next steps all for Dylan at this point, and Mary, and then all of us just kind of looking a little more closely at the maps.
Yeah, I think the other layers and analysis Dylan is doing will be great because I think we're going to get different answers depending on what like objective we're trying to accomplish. Because if for the transportation, like alternatives, like biking and everything, it's probably going to be all these snake-like or straight line polygons where those are the transportation like biking, walking type corridors. So those are the priorities for that purpose. Whereas all those, I think the ones on the southern end and the southwest side, like that's where all our tree or most of our tree canopy is. So those are going to be the ones for trees. And then,
Yeah.
There's there may be some overlap there with some of those southern ones where there are a lot of trees around some of our communities that maybe that's a high priority because we're checking more than one box. We're protecting the tree canopy where it's also benefiting lower income as well as the higher income hunt meadows nearby. So yeah, just speculating with some educated guesses here of
Those are
where
good
it's
comments.
going to end up. And yeah, so I think maybe just working the Conservancy board on like what are the top 3 depending on 3 to 5 depending on the objectives, because I don't know what sort of budget or opportunities are available to the city through I know a lot of the state funding has been heavily cut back on the sorts of programs the city would like to use for those sorts of projects, but still worth a try.
Yeah, good
Okay.
point.
So I can reach out to the Conservancy board and or I'll talk to Alicia. Maybe we both will, or Alicia will, but one of us will reach out to the Conservancy board, and then Dylan will provide us with some higher quality maps.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jackie going to join us tonight? Do you know?
She had an event, a city event that she needed to attend, so unfortunately not.
Okay. So next on the agenda is public engagement opportunities, and so there are several items to discuss as far as that. Dylan had provided all of us a while back some city guidance on use of social media. It had a quiz that I think Alicia has taken and I have taken. If you're going to be posting anything, then you need to have taken that quiz. And so, Bill, I know you also have rights to post on Facebook. You and I do. Yeah. So is that something you could, it doesn't take long. There are a couple of short documents and the quiz is quick.
Sure.
Would love to have you. Yeah. Also being able to post on Facebook too. So once I took the quiz, I did post on there. There was a public meeting about the Elktonia Cars Beach area, a presentation about the planning that's been done. So I posted that. But we do want to, we're going to continue to post. So if anyone has items that you think we'd like to share on Facebook that the public would be interested in, please send them to the group so that we can, decide if those will go up. I do plan to look at some of the work that Dylan and Jackie do, some of those projects, some of those like Bee City and the habitat certificate, native garden habitat certification, I forget what they're calling. There are things like there's a credit for doing things like putting in rain, you can get like a tax credit for like doing like rain barrels and things like that too. So just things like that, programs that exist that maybe people aren't aware of or have forgotten about, to sort of keep them in front of folks. So that's one thing. Does anybody have any thoughts about the use of Facebook?
So just because I always have Save Our Trees at the front of my mind, would it be appropriate to share activities that Save Our Trees is involved in within the city?
Yes, although we cannot post links,
Okay. Okay.
but we can post like volunteer opportunities, right?
Okay.
Don't-
But not a
from
but not a
nonprofit.
link. So not a link to sign up for a volunteer activity, probably. Okay. But news though. I mean, we always have. So we have we're on Instagram, and we use Instagram as more a news feature as opposed to an advertisement for upcoming activities. We use it for that too, but we just, it's just this is what we did at Truxton Park, just to let people know. So I don't know if that would be appropriate.
Dylan, can we do that?
You're
I'm
muted.
still trying to figure out what the line is. Alicia, you have your hand up.
Sorry.
Did you have a comment or a question?
I'll let Dylan go first.
Thanks. Sorry. Yeah, it's totally fine to promote local organizations, local events. Marianne, if you just want to come in on the post and just drop the link yourself, it's at the discretion of the city to remove it, but they're realistically not going to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can feel free to do that, and then people can use that link there.
Okay.
No, yeah, that's a good thing to use the Facebook profile for.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically the rule is the admin can't post the link, but commenters can.
Okay.
Is it set up for comments? I'm trying to remember.
Don't know for sure. I'll look into that.
So you just need somebody ready to comment and post the link.
Which is good. That'll boost it a little bit, right? If somebody's commenting, I think.
Good point.
You're gonna check it, Dylan? Thanks.
Yeah, I'll reach out to our web manager.
Okay. I mean, I could log on and take a look, but the other thing is, I think Jeremy, you brought up last time at the last meeting an email distro list, which Dylan did send. I did not share it with everybody. I think I forgot to do that. It's really long and it's old. I'm sorry, Dylan.
I think it was Bill who was talking about the email list.
Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Bill. So the list is quite long. I don't know how, whether it's out of date or not.
I'm sure.
But Alicia, is your hand still up? I'm sorry, did I miss
No, it's okay. I put it back up. I did just remember that last time we spoke, I was talking about those sustainability initiative newsletters that I used to send out previously. I didn't find those, but I do have a list of them of a year's worth. So I will clean those up and I can send those to you to review.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, because one of the thoughts when Alicia and I were talking with Jackie and Dylan is if we want to keep using the email distro list, and we could certainly send out a thing to see, to get it updated, to do like a monthly or quarterly update on a lot of the things that are happening, where I assume we could put links in that, right? Where Facebook, we don't want to overwhelm it, but there's so much going on. We could certainly do a write-up of all the many initiatives going on in the city. Hopefully we could maybe promote volunteer or bring people to people's attention, volunteer opportunities, things like that. Of course, that would take someone or a couple of someones to agree to put in that work and pull that together on a regular basis too. So wanted to bring that up and see if there was interest in using an email distro list to send something out regularly from the AEC.
I think that list would have like 600 people.
I didn't see how many it was. Honestly, I just remember it was really long.
It was quite long. Yeah.
So is there
thoughts
interest
about it. I think the Facebook page would be sufficient, but I don't know.
How long were your newsletters, Alicia?
Oh, that was like 8 to 10 years ago. I don't really fully remember. It was just an email blast. It was maybe a few paragraphs of some sort of sustainability challenge for the week.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So like Meatless Mondays or shop at the farmer's market or yeah. Things like that. And then if there were holiday ones like using up food leftovers for your meals throughout, there were recipe ideas and things like that.
Wow. Boy, that sounds like a newsletter I would like to have gotten.
That's fun.
I had fun writing them, but that was I was a lot less busy at that job.
Yeah. So I guess if, that was something that we were going to do, monthly seems like a lot, but if it's quarterly, then it's not as timely for things that are happening like soon either, right? Like if there's something going on that we'd want to put in there. So that'd be something to think about also.
Yeah, I think these like sustainability challenges would be better suited for a Facebook post and less so a quarterly newsletter. Not to say that one's better than the other or anything. I think they're both useful.
Oh, yeah. And they could reach different audiences too. So.
I would be happy to contribute to the newsletter. I cannot lead it though. If the group decides that's something that they want.
Is the silence mean there is not any interest, or does it mean that if we kind of wrote up an example one to show you all, it would be something you'd consider? Please share.
Well, I sent out one. I don't know if everybody got it, but I did send out an example from like 10 years ago of the kind of newsletters that I used to send out.
I think I saw it.
I think I missed it. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Let me see if I can find it.
At the time, I'm not sure what CIT was using for their content management system, but it was difficult to use. And it was a bit frustrating. I can take another stab at it, see what the CMS that they're using today is.
Well, is this something that would be like when you say that, are we talking about just doing an email blast, or you have to do it through a system?
Yeah, my understanding is that you can't just use your email client to send out an email. You have to do it through the city's system.
Oh, that does make sense. Dylan, is that something that you all would send out for us? Or I guess we'll have to figure out like whatever this CMS system is.
It doesn't have to be that way. We could just use the email list or create a new one, whatever you want to do. And use MailChimp. I don't think it has to be to the city.
I mean, it can't come from like my CFO or at Comcast either, right? Bill O'Leary personal email. I wouldn't think.
I don't really know who might have the answer to that question. I don't know if there's any restriction as to which email it can come from. I mean, does it have to come from a commission member? I guess, right? I mean, representing the Environmental Commission, I would assume. But I would assume you can use any email you want. Yeah, I don't think there's really any rules as to, what sort of communication efforts the commission can make, from their own. Well,
I mean, it sounds like there used to be, right?
Yeah.
Because when Bill did it before, he couldn't.
Yeah, it seems
There
like
definitely
Ashley
used to be restrictions. You had to go through, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on what the name of the system was, but it was same content management system that allows you to make changes to the Annapolis.gov website.
Yeah.
Also had a mail component to it, and had templates that you could use and that kind of thing.
Makes sense. Because I imagine, yeah, if there's restrictions about Facebook posts and probably the same restrictions about emails, it seems like Ashley has something to chime in, which is.
So the general policy is we try not to use private email accounts, mostly because if for no other reason, it opens you up to a Public Information Act request. So once you start using a personal email account in like a governmental capacity, then it's not considered as private or personal anymore. And so if we were to get a request for records related to emails or things, it does expose your personal email account a little bit more than we would like. So the preference is to try to go through, that's not the only reason, but the preference is to try to go through government email accounts and those procedures, just so that we can keep you guys sort of a little separated, your personal stuff separated from what's considered governmental.
Yeah. Okay. Really good point. Ashley, do you think that we could provide them, with an Annapolis email to use?
I know other commissions have. So like the Art in Public Places Commission has one. Sometimes commissions have also set something up through Gmail that's just specific for that commission. So it's not tied to like a personal, like one specific commission member. It's sort of like a jointly used account. You might want to check with IT though, just to see their preference on that, because I think they're moving away from that. But I do know that they have set up sort of like commission and or board specific accounts that can be run by like the chair, vice chair type thing.
That makes sense. Awesome.
That would be
Thank
my
you.
preference. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my preference if we could have a AEC email, Annapolis.gov email.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we used to. It was environment@annapolis.gov, and I just
Maybe it's
looked.
still
And
active.
the system that we used was called Net Atlantic, which was the same system that you use to update the website. But like I said, that was 12 years ago. So I'm sure CIT has moved on to something else by now.
Okay.
Check and see if we could get an email address then.
Yeah, I'll see if we can get you environment at Annapolis.gov again. And then I imagine kind of in terms of, like what sort of content you can share and things like that, it's probably consistent with the other, with the social media policy. It's technically a little different. But
yeah, you would run stuff through Ina Young, who's in IT, because she handles any social media posts, and then should probably also keep Mitchell Stevenson, who is our PIO or Public Information Officer. She can also help with letting you know how things should go out stylistically.
So is it just iyoung at Annapolis.gov? If I wanted to,
I might be
contact
IE Young, but I can look it up. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill, I'm looking at the example that you sent, and I do really apologize that I missed it. It's really good. How often did you do these? Was it on a regular basis?
I tried to do them monthly, but
monthly.
I skipped a bunch, and then I just.
How much
stopped
time did it
trying to
take?
do. A while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about content, It was just if I was getting content from the commission members, that made it a lot easier. Then I did whatever wordsmithing needed done, and then just getting it to look pretty in the email system that they used was kind of a pain. But
that once, Kathy, and see how it goes and go from there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, all this is so much content. I'm impressed. So should we, as you're checking, Dylan, I know you're going to check and see if we can get an email address, but should we like try to meet with the PIO to talk about, we want to do this. This is an example of what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think just
about,
like with these social media, again, I think, the type of content that can go out is going to be pretty consistent. But yeah, Ashley makes a good point about kind of stylistically, how it should go out and things like that. I think a pretty brief conversation could be held. And then, trying to get you that email again. I think that can be pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do some gathering of information about these things and then come back and talk again next month.
Yeah.
There'll definitely be a pretty big commitment to follow in Bill's footsteps here, I think. Okay. Anything else on this?
I don't have anything. I think we have good next steps.
Okay. So also for public engagement, I also sent out a couple of things that I've stumbled upon. And I didn't know if there was any interest in, and these are more longer term things that we would, need to plan. But like one was the one from Madison, New Jersey, their environmental commission partnered up with with a bookstore. And they invited people to talk about a specific book by Doug Tallamy about, biodiversity and growing native plants and that sort of thing, and then to have a discussion about it. So that was not that we would need to do it on that particular subject, but just wondering if there would be any interest in the AEC doing something like that. As sort of public outreach.
How would you do the outreach, Kathy? Would it be something through Facebook or like an email blast, or just to engage the public? Is that how you would do it, or?
So that was an in-person event, but there are webinars too, right? There's also webinars that we might host and invite someone to talk on a topic, and then we could put it on Facebook. We could ask the city to, promote it. If we're doing it with a partner or a couple of partners, do some joint messaging with them. So, there are lots of ways to get the word out about an event.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting. I'm sorry to keep bringing up Save Our Trees, but we've done a couple of events. So a couple of forums at the Annapolis Library. And then we've done, a couple of webinars as well. We did a 3-series webinar in March. So that would be something that, if there's a topic that the commission's interested in, and say Save Our Trees is interested in, or maybe the Conservancy Board, it might be advantageous to do it as a group. It's a possibility. And we got for the forum in February that we did, we had a really good turnout. I think we had over 50 people at that, and some really good feedback that came out of it.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I just want to ask Dylan and Ashley if there's any reason we can't. I want to make sure we don't overstep. You're muted.
Sorry, I got distracted by my kids. What was the question?
Hosting webinars for the public to engage on and learn about initiatives or sustainability, environmental lessons.
I'm assuming we're talking free.
Person or in-person events too, in
Mhm.
collaboration with some partners, right? That might be city partners, but they might be like nonprofits and, in Annapolis, we're working on environmental issues.
I mean, I think as long as you're giving everybody sort of like all the nonprofits, like an equal opportunity to some extent to participate if they want to participate, I don't see any problem with that.
I mean, so when you say that, that's a very broad statement. So,
Yeah.
to invite all the nonprofits to
No, it's
an event, well, it might be on a specific topic, right?
Yeah, no, you can definitely narrow it. It's just it's supposed to be it needs to be sort of generally free, open to the public so that members of the public can come. You can have specific people who are like your guests or your speakers, but generally anybody, capacity limits withstanding. So you could have, if you have a capacity limit, first come, first serve, but otherwise it's generally open to the public is the biggest.
For sure. Okay.
And part of the reason why, Ashley, I wanted to ask you was because the example Kathy was using was about a book that is being promoted at the bookstore, Kathy. Is that what you said? It was just a book specifically about a certain topic. Like
it was a book about a topic that was of interest to the Environmental Commission. It had information in the book that was, they wanted people to, invite people to like.
So then my question is,
and I'm not saying that we would do that exactly.
Yeah, hold on. So, but say we wanted to, right? I just need to understand if that is an issue. When specifically it's, one author, one book that we're it might come off as promoting. That's what I want clarity on.
Oh, we need to do a book club. That's what we need to do. Now you got me thinking about that.
I mean, as long as it's topically relevant, and again, it's open for everyone to attend. I mean, and then I guess as long as there's no conflict, the only issue would be is if like you guys are getting something from the nonprofits or the authors, like some sort of payment, some sort of, that's where it would become like, if there's a trade-off, if they're just doing it and they're coming and it's free to everybody and you guys aren't taking anything from them, then I don't see the problem. The problem would become if there's some sort of conflict in which like you have a vested interest in somehow, like for instance, you're an investor in the book. Now you're promoting the book and that could increase sales. And I mean, and this is more of a stretch, but that's where like, so like if you have some sort of gain to get out of a personal gain to get out of doing it, then I would say probably no. But if it's just a general book that's on topic and you think that's of interest, and they're not paying you or, giving you free concert tickets or whatever, then I think you should be fine.
Okay. I appreciate the clarity.
Yeah, thank you. So we have one idea from Mary Ann already.
Yeah.
So maybe we can.
The group is interested. It sounds like. So we work on brainstorming some ideas, some contacts.
I'm sorry, you faded a little bit.
Sorry, it sounds like the group is interested, so we could work on coming up with some ideas and some contacts that might be interested in this.
Does anybody else have any thoughts or ideas or things that you'd think topics that would fit well into this idea?
I have a book that comes to mind, although now I'm not exactly sure what the title is about, but it's basically about moving upland as a solution to our environmental problem, which is pretty interesting.
Moving upland, what does that mean?
Instead of spending all of our time and resources conserving, the shore that keeps getting wiped out, moving everyone upland. So, I mean, like that's a book that could possibly be looked at by the group.
Yeah.
And then, can definitely come up with
retreat.
some other ideas.
Managed retreat is the way I've heard it
Damn,
described.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, this idea is it's a great vehicle to get, the commission out into the general public, because I know so many people that I speak with, they're just unaware of the work that the commission does or what we're engaged in. So I think it could be very, very useful.
So
And very interesting for the the citizens of Annapolis.
And I could reach out to the Maryland Stream Restoration Association. They do webinars all the time. They love to talk to the public about the benefits of stream restoration work and what that looks like.
Okay, that would be great. And then
yeah, there's really endless. I mean, even I think about like Amy Clements, who's the with Spa Creek Conservancy. I mean, I know everyone in Annapolis is very interested in the health of Spa Creek, and it would be, that would be another possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, there are several groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could, Marianne, maybe you and Alicia and I could talk more, and
sure.
Then Alicia, maybe you and I can talk, and then come up with like a list of kind of brainstorm a list of different possibilities. Too. Is anybody else interested in working on that with us? Linda, would you like to join the conversation, or Bill or Jeremy?
Happy to contribute to the brainstorming or ideas offline, as long as it's not within the next week.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually going to take this opportunity. I need to step away and pack. So glad to see everyone. I will not be on email for a week. So
sounds wonderful.
Have a good one.
Enjoy the rest of the meeting, and thank you. Lots of great ideas. Love where we're going with this. Thanks.
Enjoy your vacation.
Yeah, I'm happy to help as well. And like Jeremy, I also have to leave early tonight. I have to go pick up my son. So I apologize for that. But I'll follow up with all of you on email.
Well, do you need to leave now, or?
I do. Yep.
All right.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nope.
Bye.
I'd be happy to help out too.
Cool.
Marianne, I should have. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Linda, that would be excellent. Thank you. I'm
just post up a Google Doc or something, and everyone can add to it.
Marianne, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize people were going to leave. I would have let you go sooner.
No, that's no problem. I mean, I'm going to be very brief. I just wanted to let everybody know, as I guess you all do know, that my term expires at the end of June, and I'm not re-upping, but for a very good reason. I'm spending more and more time with Save Our Trees, and I feel like I'm not doing justice to the commission. So I just made the difficult decision to not continue. But I just wanted to thank everyone. It's been extremely interesting, and I've enjoyed my 3 years. But I do want to continue to be in touch. And so tonight's actually a really good example of a way that even if I'm not, at the monthly meetings, I can continue to be part of the group, because I would very much like to be. And obviously anything that's tree related, please reach out. I mean, I'm happy to be a resource, and again, very excited to continue. So I love the fact that an example of a collaboration came up tonight. So thank you for that. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you all and just let you know it's been a pleasure the last 3 years, and I hope to continue to see you all.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you, Marianne. We will miss you. We thank you so much for your service on the commission. It's been invaluable, especially with, your connection to Save Our Trees. So just thank you very much. And I'm glad that we've already found ways to continue to work together.
Yes, exactly. So great. And Linda, are you going to continue on the commission?
I signed up for another 3 years.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're a good connection.
But
That's wonderful.
I will see you when we're
Yes.
saving trees.
Yes, exactly. So that's great. So that's another connection.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Wonderful. Good, good.
Amazing.
And Linda, thank you. I'm just delighted that you're going to continue.
I never heard back from Hillary yet. So
Well, I went to the Environmental Matters Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. Oh, because I actually briefed them on our priorities. But you guys, you were both on the agenda to have your appointments confirmed. And that's like, I was like emailing Marianne. I'm like, did you change your mind? I'm like, why are you on this agenda? So I'm not quite sure. And they didn't actually talk about it. I think that's something that they do kind of by email or something. I don't know. But you were on their agenda. So I'm assuming that hopefully it will just be smooth sailing to continue on.
I'll keep showing up as long as I can.
Yes. And thank you for offering to help with the public engagement stuff. I think it's gonna be really fun to work on. So
I think that's something that's really needed to, like with Save Our Trees. I never knew that I had a tree in my backyard covered with ivy. I said, oh, it's so pretty. And then when I guess Sue Wheatley is the one that told me about it. And I went to one of the first ones we did in Hunt Meadow a couple of years ago. And so I've been saving trees ever since and making sure the trees in my backyard are okay. So.
But it's just one, one example, one environmental, issue or problem, that the public has become very much aware of over the last 3 or 4 years. And, there are many, that we can hopefully make people aware of.
Yeah.
Education is the best solution.
Yeah. Get the word out, get the public involved.
Yep.
Cool. And I see Paul joined. Paul, I'm sorry I didn't see when you popped in. How are you?
He's been there for quite a while.
Oh, sorry, Paul. I need to keep the list of participants up. So
not a problem.
When did you join? I'm not sure.
You mean tonight or which decade? About 7:15, and
oh, good. Okay.
The as you speak, interacting with other organizations, which is fantastic. As we all know, this is volunteer, and it takes time, everybody's time. I think it's great. The more we can connect with other organizations, and as most of us know, sadly, Annapolis Green has expired. But they first of all, hats off to Lynn and Eldia. They did yeoman's work for 15 years. They're still around, and they just don't have a spare 30 hours a week. But the more we interact with those two and all the participants, many of us had participated with Annapolis Green, it may not be, there's still a need for some type of central body to pull people together. So without Annapolis Green running monthly events, it just encouraged the other events to keep cross-pollinating with other groups. And it's hard. Bill worked hard on the newsletter, and obviously print's a lot less of a factor now than 12 years ago. So but the content's still important. I'm glad to see what's going on, and I guess what I'm trying to say is to keep looking for where is there a central intersection of a group that's doing a lot. And now it's like multiple smaller groups, and the more they connect with each other, they get a little bit larger, and like you said, they're holding an event in a library or a community, and even get just a few more people from different areas to show up, and just spreads the word. But it's tricky. It's all volunteer. It's not easy. So I applaud them doing, continue to push the rock up the hill. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Paul. You and Bill, particularly, the two of you being on this for so long are a great resource for us so that we don't reinvent the wheel when we don't need to, right? Or to point out, like, there is no central, you have a kind of a bird's eye view, I think, of the landscape of, the environmental organizations in Annapolis. And so, when you say there's no, like, since Annapolis Green is gone, there's no central group that brings everybody together. And I think that's really important for us to think about. I don't know that that's our role the same way Annapolis Green did it, but I do think there are definitely opportunities for us to bring people together to talk. And there's so many organizations, they focus on one particular topic within the environmental, within the environmental environment. That doesn't sound right, but but are there organizations that are looking at the environmental issues overall? I don't know. I need to become more familiar with the different organizations in Annapolis, I guess. Maybe you can give us a tutorial, Paul, on that.
Well, I don't have an answer. I just, sometimes it just Elvia and the others who helped them, or many others, but those two women, really got it started. And so I think I don't know what's going to happen, but Save Our Trees, Amy Clements with Spa Creek, and Back Creek Conservancy, and for that matter, are some user specific. That paddleboarding is a pretty big deal, and all these different groups ought to, also just, even if it's just email connections or a couple of personal friendships, or maybe somebody listening here paddle boards, and just get these groups to come together to help. And one thing, let's remember the Naval Academy. Bill probably knows better, but it would Elvia would have each spring. They cut springtime, and over on Back Creek they got probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 mids. We were on the Ellen Moyer Nature Trail, and they helped so much because they were pulling car engines, just a couple, but they were pulling automobile engines out of the mud sides of some areas in Back Creek. It was ridiculous what gets thrown in the river. So, but I'm talking about brute force and labor. The Naval Academy has kids who apparently have to donate about a time here, and whether it's a paddleboard group that says this area is disgusting and they've got to save the trees, and then somebody else remembers about the mids, maybe the stuff will hopefully can happen, that the groups keep. I guess what I'm saying, encourage everybody in their group to try and connect with other groups, and there may be a participant or two or a connection or two that happens that springboards to something bigger and better. Like the cleanups around the creeks is important, and it's going to be the paddle boarders or the whoever it is, care about that creek, are yet not the only, but another group that can come to help. So.
You've made me think, Paul. I come from the emergency management world, and there's a national organization, but many counties, states and counties have their own, but they're called Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. They're called VOADs. And that is where so many nonprofits who are involved in disaster response and recovery come together, right, on a regular basis to talk about different topics, where they connect with each other. And then during a disaster, because they know each other, they are like on it. They are working together together. They're saying, you're feeding these people here, we're feeding those people here, we're going to shelter here. Is there something you need that I don't, I just remember when Katrina hit, it was my first exposure to VOAD. And I went to a VOAD meeting in Maryland, and it just kind of blew my mind because they were like, we have buckets and mops. Do you need buckets and mops? We'll share them with you. It's an amazing, to me, it's an amazing model. And I'm wondering if something similar here, right? Some kind of organization, I don't know what AEC would have to do with this, but an organization that gives, I guess that's what Annapolis Green did, right? That brings people together so they can make those connections. I mean, the VOAD is like, like I said, there's a national version of it as well as local versions of it. But it is so important to have those venues. And so I guess that's kind of what Annapolis Green did, was to bring all those people together. Or was it more of a business community, or it was nonprofits? It was nonprofits with environmental interests.
It was both. And the business is great. Somebody makes their living selling solar panels, so they would show up, and and that's fine. Or community. There's so many good things. Community solar. I can't put solar on my roof. I have a teeny little roof, or I'm blessed with a bunch of trees. The West doesn't work here, but community solar, which the city of Annapolis, to the huge credit, has put a solar farm on the old city dump. What do we call them? Landfill. But it would, to answer your question, a combination of and, in a say nice way, do-gooders, motivated citizens. People who got alarmed about Crystal Spring was going to be horrifically large. So motivated for a variety of reasons, and Annapolis Green was great because everybody could cross-pollinate, and maybe something will bubble up in the future. Maybe, as you say, some are going to still be more specific. I don't know if the paddle boarders are working with Annapolis Maritime Museum, at least maybe hosting an event there or what, but we need to find these little pockets of people doing good things, really connect them together. And I don't have an overall vision where it's going to go. I'm just the longer Annapolis Green is gone, the more I realize how bloody good they were doing.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, definitely something for us to continue to think about and keep our eyes open for where those opportunities are, and maybe an organization that does rise up and kind of fill that spot.
Yeah, and not to run on too long here, I will look this up. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit. It's not just I'm a little older and so technology challenged, but for example, Elvia still runs a kick gas, an electric vehicle car show, which was May 4th. And and then another thing, which God darn might be this weekend, they are taking, let me look and see if I have the calendar. Bill, did you get into the loop on, let me just see it. I think it might be Sunday.
Bill's not here anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, I'll speak quickly. When Annapolis Green actually took physical property, they were on the corner of State Circle, right, in Maryland Avenue, and that great old house. And as a fundraiser, similar to Annapolis Maritime Museum, you could lay out, $500 or $1,000, and your name was in one of the bricks. And they not selling them. You can come pick up your old one. It's at Great Frogs Winery or Great Frogs Vineyard, and really soon it might be there. Definitely get that. But so I don't know how many people are going to show up, but maybe 10 years ago you spent $1,000 and that brick's got away. They still have it. If you want it back, they're going to be a Great Frogs, and it's going to be a small group, but some people will show up who were very motivated. Elvia's returned from Hawaii, so she's around again. She's still doing car shows. We have to keep that in mind. 6/8/25. Yeah, here it goes. Hang on, folks. Wednesday, July 2nd. Here we go, guys. Wednesday, July 2nd, 5:30 p.m. Great Frogs Vineyard. So give me
can you send
one
that to me?
email and I'll send it this. Somebody give me an easy email who wants to distribute this to the rest of you.
Oh, you can send it to me, my cfwelker@comcast.net.
Whoops, I must have got off speakerphone. Shit. You have my email? Just send me yours, please.
I will send it to you. You can also just send it to that AEC email that I send like the agenda out to.
Okay.
That'll go to all of us. Yeah.
But barring my flubbing that up, Wednesday, July 2nd, 5:30, Great Frogs Vineyard.
Cool. Thank you.
It's right around the corner. It's a good chance to meet a few people and we can actually, walk the walk a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'll look for that. Please send that. That'd be great.
Okay.
Dylan, I did want to get back to the commission vacancies because I wanted to ask if if anybody has expressed interest, if like Hillary has heard from anyone. We asked some of the aldermen to promote that we have openings, and I put a posting on Chesapeake Network that we had openings. So I should put it on. I have to put it on Facebook. I haven't put it on Facebook yet.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard directly from her. I can reach out. I imagine if the people were, she'd probably let me know. But yeah, I'll follow up with her. I haven't heard anything.
Okay, and I'll get something on Facebook. I don't know how I forgot that. All right. Yes, if you could check with her, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So now we are on to ongoing business or updates. Dylan did send out the resilience and sustainability June update, as well as the planning and zoning development spreadsheet. So Dylan, I'm going to turn it over to you for the updates you'd like to share with us. And then I don't know if there's anything in particular you want to highlight on the planning and zoning spreadsheet, or if anybody's had a chance to look at it, if you have any questions about that.
Yeah, nothing in particular about developments. Regarding updates, we are continuing to collect data for the climate action plan. Almost done with the first phase on that. Expecting a report about our easements very soon. Today, actually, we just received word that we were one of the selected communities for a pilot project for improved technology downtown in Eastport, so that we can improve transit and public safety, provide more public Wi-Fi and things like that. So hopefully that encourages more sustainable transportation options for residents and visitors. Gotta remember this. For those of you who are not aware, the city back in April had an Earth Week celebration at Market House that Kathy was involved in. We regularly have people decorate a rain barrel, and we donate that rain barrel to the winner of an email draw. I have reached out to everyone at this point who entered their email, and none have responded to me. And this rain barrel is currently up for grabs. So if you would like that rain barrel, let me know. If multiple people want it, I can just take a random pick, use some website or something. So I wanted to throw that out there. Free rain barrel for anyone who wants it.
it's got the cute little drawings that the kids did.
It does have nice little drawings. Yes, it does.
I was
Um,
just gonna buy one. I'll put it out in front of my community.
There you go. There you go. Anyone else want to throw in their name?
I've thought about getting one, but I need to
Fight you for it.
see
Just kidding.
no, you take it. You take it. I haven't decided like how it would fit into next to my townhouse. So
My
yes.
HOA can't get upset about it because I'm the president.
Oh,
But it would, I think it would
That's great.
help get people in the
Great way to deal
community.
with HOA.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
if no one
beautiful.
else claims it, Dylan, I would be a happy owner.
All right, going once, going twice, sold or donated to Alicia Robertson.
yes, I love it. Community rain barrel. That's perfect.
Awesome. Other updates. I think those are the most substantial. Oh, one more thing that we're excited about. We did get news from both EECBG, or rather Department of Energy, and the Environmental Finance Center that both of those grant opportunities are good to proceed. So we have, reconfirmed our funds for energy efficiency, and we will be receiving technical assistance for a comprehensive resilience plan. Kathy is involved with this, representing the Environmental Commission. So we should be having some meetings soon, kind of just talking with them, getting an understanding of where we're at, what resources we have, and then working with them to kind of do like a bottom-up assessment and a gap analysis of how we need to move forward with the resilience plan. Those are the updates.
Thank you. So much going on.
Mhm.
Any questions for Dylan?
No, I just continue. I think your highlights are fantastic. Makes
I'm
it so much.
amazed at how
I know.
everything that's on there. Yeah.
I know. It makes it so much easier to be aware of what's going on. Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Of course.
So is that just a private document? Is that available to the public at all, or any version of it, or?
Those official June highlights, or the monthly highlights that we send you, are initially provided to the Environmental Matters Committee, and those are posted online with the agenda for the committee. So yeah, it's public information.
I mean, is that something we could share on Facebook or in our?
I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean, technically, it's public information, so there's no reason you couldn't. Yeah, you could share that, and also, the full Environmental Matters agenda, whatever you want to do.
Hey, I had a question though. I've rejoined Pip Moyer Rec Center, and been loving it. Right, it's such a great facility. But a few weeks ago, they were doing a whole bunch of planting in the parking lot, like in the little medians of the parking lot, and it's beautiful. But I keep wondering what all the plants are. So is there a way, I mean, I guess this would be Rec and Parks, but I would love to, when the city does planting like that, I would love it if they would put little identifying signs, what the plants are, because I'm hoping they're all native plants. I don't know. I'm hoping that they are. But I would love to see the city planting kind of identified so people would know what is that plant? What is that flower? Is that something that's...
Yeah, were these the ones at the rain gardens?
Is it a rain garden? It could be. I mean, it's in the parking lot, and there's... Yeah, it's really pretty. But
I think I saw those.
I think more broadly about planting that the city, the city is doing, especially if they're doing native planting, to identify them. Because I know they do it at the library, right? I've seen it at the library. They put up little signs what the different plants are.
More signage would definitely be preferred. I can definitely reach out to them. Since it was it's seemingly, maintenance for stormwater. They probably just needed to, increase the uptake by planting more plants. with stormwater, things like that, you know, you follow a manual, and there's like a plant list with that manual, and all of them are native. So yeah, my assumption would be that they're all native. But I can definitely reach out to them and see if they could provide me with the design of it, if they might be interested in putting up some signs.
Is there a way to kind of expand that through to other city locations that are doing like rain gardens and?
I think we would need funds.
That'd be a recommendation from the AEC to the Environmental Matters Committee as a topic for them to discuss.
Yeah, that's a perfect thing to suggest as, you know, an advisory commission. I mean, maybe we can identify if there's already funds for something like that. I mean, maybe that could come out of, you know, like MS4 outreach. But yeah, that's definitely a great suggestion.
I mean, because the little signs, I got some for my own garden because I keep forgetting what I planted, so I've been putting them in. They're not very expensive, you know, to pop them in the ground with a little tag on it, what it is. So it's not a huge cost item by any means. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you'll ask about that, or if we
Yeah, I'll reach out to our facilities people at Parks and Rec, and see if they can get us the design, or if they just know offhand which plants are there. But yeah, I think you know, increased signage throughout the community, you know, is a great outreach opportunity, and definitely, you know, something I'd love to have the Environmental Commission push more.
Okay. Great. All right. Anything else for Dylan from you guys? Any questions, thoughts? Updates from you guys?
I don't have any.
So I did go to the Elktonia Cars Beach presentation about how they're designing that as a new park, and it's very cool. All the things that they want to do. It's not set in stone yet. You know, they're getting community feedback now on it. I'm trying to think if must be something posted. If you guys wanted to see it, I could try and find it and send you a link. But it's got two parts to the design. One is to restore the beach, right? And taking like sea level rise into account and stuff like that. And then there's the separate group is doing a design of the actual public park. And part of it is to make sure that it recognizes the incredible history of that beach, which is just fascinating. But then also has lots of fun. They have a lot of fun ideas for, you know, how to make it interactive for people who come visit. So if you want more information, I'll try and find more to send to you. And the other thing is I went this week to the AMRI, the Annapolis. Oh, it's the Eastport project that the Resilience Authority is kind of leading with some partners. The Annapolis Maritime Resilience Initiative, Jackie sent it out, and I had asked if there was anybody else who had wanted to go to that meeting because there was space for like one or two other folks, but I did go to that. And so they have made, they've done a lot of community outreach. They have made a long list of projects that are potentials that they could address. And so right now they're in the process of like prioritizing them. And they do have, let me see, sorry. They had, I didn't have a second, but like they're basing it on like, they're looking at like the resilience impact, which is like, how would it resolve flooding issues, project feasibility. Really happy to see they were taking social impact into consideration, right? And they're actually weight that social impact pretty highly. And I didn't write down the fourth thing. There's another piece of criteria that they're looking at too. And so they are still gathering input, nothing set in stone with that yet. I wanted to ask two things. Dylan, they had mentioned that there was a shared file that they thought everybody had access to. And I know I got the invitation through Jackie. So I didn't get any emails from them directly, but I would love to be able to have access to that shared folder that they talked about, because it's got like the prioritization criteria, the list of potential projects, and that sort of thing. Can you ask Jackie if she can share that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is, I don't know if this group would like to also be able to look at those items and see what's going on, because it's a pretty big project. You know, they're doing a lot there in Eastport. And if you'd like to become more familiar with it, I don't know, Dylan, if it's possible to invite somebody from the Amory project to come talk to the commission, just to bring us up to date on what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely reach out. If you already know their contact, you know, feel free to do that, you know, as the commission, or I can do on your behalf and CC you. We did.
I don't know Gabe's last name, and then there's the Green Vest guys.
Yeah, Gabe Cohey at the Resilience Authority. And sorry, who was the second person you mentioned?
The Green Vest guys, the one who I think, isn't he the
Jack Turner? Yeah,
the chair of the
Conservancy Board
too.
Jack
and then,
Turner.
Yeah, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I wrote it down, but I don't know.
Yeah, we can reach out to them.
Wait.
We did
if there's
hear back.
interest.
Right. Did you still want to potentially have the transportation board in July, or do you want to do both?
Yeah, Alicia, I don't know if you saw the back and forth with Dylan. Since the transportation people couldn't come to this one, do you want to do that one next month?
Yeah, I think that's fine. And then maybe shoot for this in August. Or, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to. We usually don't meet in August, I don't think, do we?
Yeah, September. That's fine.
Linda, are you interested in hearing more about the Amory project? It's pretty interesting. Yeah, maybe we can shoot for September to hear from them. Okay. Let me just double check if I had any other updates. You can say. Oh, I did just forward right before this meeting a couple of emails from Kurt Riegel, who's the chair of the Anne Arundel the Severn River Commission. They've made comments on a couple of transportation, county transportation projects. So I thought you all might like to, I haven't taken a look at them yet, thought you might like to take a look at those and see what kind of comments they're making on projects like that. So I did forward those right before this meeting. Hey, Paul, did you have something?
No.
Okay. You popped up on my screen, so I don't know.
That might have been a pocket dial, sort of. It was in my pocket for a moment.
I think that's all I have. Anybody else have anything else? And Ashley, if you're still on, is there anything that you would like to, after listening to this meeting, any thoughts that you have or anything you think would be helpful for us to know?
I don't have anything specifically to add. I'm always here, happy to help. If you need anything, I do have also worked with the Conservancy Board, so I do have a background in conservancy easements and things of that nature. So happy to help with all of that sort of stuff. And I do work fairly regularly with Jackie Gild and Dylan on projects. So
okay, yeah. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
No problem.
Dylan, anything else?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay. Well, I guess that's our wrap up. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Your last official act.
I know, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Any
All right.
opposed?
And we'll be in touch.